Today on the Auburn Torch, I've got a lot to say about Arkansas cutting tennis. Riddle me this right here. Riddle me this. I've got a question for you. It's a riddle, a rhetorical question, really. Why did Arkansas in football lose to Memphis 32-31 last year? Why did Arkansas lose to Memphis? Is it because Memphis has $2.5 million more than Arkansas and put $2.5 million more than the University of Southeastern Conference Arkansas into football? No. Why did they lose? Because they're bums. That's why. Why did they lose? Because they're bums. And that's what's facing Arkansas right now, which cut tennis over the weekend. Between the last time I podcasted, you know I'd have something to say about it. Brandon said that the men's and women's tennis program spent $2.5 million last year. And in the ever-changing NIL transfer portal landscape of college, blah, 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 Arkansas has decided to cut those so they can spend that money on football, or maybe it's Calipari in basketball. We don't know. But what we do know is that the reason they're losing is not because they have less money, because they are losing to teams that have less money than them. It's because they're making stupid decisions with their money is what happened. It's because they gave Bobby Petrino all the offensive players that he wanted, and they were still bums. That's what happened, okay? There's no rewriting it. There's no that's exactly what happened. They gave Bobby all the offense that he ever wanted, and they still couldn't win games because that's Bobby's entire career in a nutshell. Because they don't learn things, right? I mean, these bums lost to Hugh Freeze 33-24. Freeze's offense scored 33 points. That's 11 times as much as they scored against Kentucky. And they cut. There's a Q&A here where they cut. Yeah, here, I'll get to that in a second if you're watching. Here's what they said. We understand the disappointment and emotion this news brings to many. The landscape of college athletics continues to evolve, requiring us to make challenging choices as we balance competitive opportunities, resources, and long-term sustainability in our department. Here's the problem. Here's the thing. Why was this decision made? Change within college athletics is accelerated rapidly, particularly for Power 4 programs. College athletics is shifting away from the traditional model to adapt to the post-house settlement environment. As a result, institutions must make deliberate, data-informed decisions focused on financial sustainability, resource allocation, and return on investment. Relatedly, Arkansas posted 4 straight years of record enrollment. In the last year, in the last 4 years, they've had as much enrollment as ever. Do you think tuition's any lower? No. Tuition is certainly higher than ever. Their enrollment is as much as ever. And sports, which is an advertisement for all of this, not a revenue generator, it's an advertisement for your university. But when they make these sheets that they report back on, they don't put the value of, they talk about return on investment. Oh, well, we spent $2.5 million on tennis, and it's not a ticketed sport, so it only, quotations, made $3,000 or whatever in revenue, because you can't even sell tickets to it. Only. No, how many of these kids enrolled because they thought you were a serious institution who could afford rackets and a net? That's the point of all of this. So all of it, I had to talk about it. I had to say it. All of it is yeah, it's just crooked, man. It's crooked. It's crooked. They these programs, they're talking about generating revenue when the entire time it's an advertisement for tuition. But the athletics department doesn't, the university doesn't write off the athletics department or doesn't report back their earnings. So you spend money on it, and you do get earnings, and they don't report it. They don't lump it in. They don't say, like any business would say, hey, we did this advertising campaign. We spent this much money. And do we have an exact amount? No, but we have an estimate of what it returns. So we're going to do another advertisement. We're going to put more commercials on this channel because our revenue increased based on what we were doing. But they don't do that because at the university on the university side of the street, they cook the books, and then on the money that the athletics departments do get, morons waste it. Which is what I also said on Twitter, where someone, I don't even know who this person is, but they were saying, for every $4 million quarterback that signs, will there be a tennis player, swimmer, gymnast, someone who did everything right, losing their sport entirely? I gotta say, don't blame the quarterback. Like, don't make that the center of this discussion, because the superstar quarterback's probably worth it. Carson Beck, whatever they paid him to go to Miami, probably made that money back for the school. Probably. But what I said was, what about some sorry offensive tackle or lineman who does nothing but false start or jump off sides and then transfers after a year? That's why you're losing football games. That's why Auburn lost the games it lost. It has the money. All the money is there. ESPN is paying billions to SEC schools. Tuition is higher than ever. Enrollment is higher than ever. All of the money is there. You dopes are just misusing it and buying bad players who lose games, and then you cut the tennis program about it. Bro, pay better players. You're saying, oh, we dumped, or just cut football. At a point, if you're like, okay, we dumped $20 million on our football season. We had a bad football season. We didn't get our return on investment, right? Or whatever. If you had a good season, the tennis would still be there if the people making decisions just made better decisions. Plain and simple. That's it. This isn't a podcast about Arkansas. We're going to move on now. Auburn men's golf lost. Sorry. In the semifinals on Saturday, which is tough, lost to Ole Miss, who was eventual champions. Something interesting about that would be that if you look at the result, it's 3-2, and the players that won, sorry, I had to take care of that off screen, 3-2, and the players that won were both Auburn's freshmen, Logan Riley and Jake Albert, and the ones that lost were the juniors, Caden Pope, Josiah Gilbert, and Jackson Coyven. And I mean, frankly, look, man, Jackson's got to win. Caden needs to win. You're just supposed to win. Like, you're supposed to be the aces and the veterans of the team. You're just supposed to win, and they didn't do it. And they'll be the first ones to say that. They'll be the first ones to say. But hey, look, it's match play. Match play gets crazy. Players can play with nothing to lose. You don't get penalized twice. In stroke play, if you get a triple bogey, it's a triple bogey. In match play, the worst that can happen is that you lose the hole. So you can take risks. Match play is just different, right? But Auburn's got to get better at it before the NCAA championships. And you'll remember, at the NCAA championships last year, Auburn did lose in the round of 8 in match play. It was to Virginia, who went on to the NCAA championship final. But there's a lot about match play. It's also especially there's a lot of stamina involved. There's also course download. I mean, those were the 30. They played 36 on that Saturday, and that was after 3 straight days of 18. So you've seen that course. That was the 5th time these guys have seen that course. So obviously course download's part of it. Like, how well are you adapting to the course? Maybe Ole Miss did that a little bit better. Maybe it was just stamina. Maybe Ole Miss did that a little bit better. But hey, man, Auburn, I gotta expect. You gotta say Auburn's gonna make it to the NCAA match play. They'll have regionals next. Don't know where it'll be. Those are preset. There's no hosting there for Auburn. But yeah, but you got to expect they'll do well in stroke play at regionals and at the championship and make the match play final. But you got to do better once you get there. So lesson learned, maybe a little wake up call. You like a wake up call going into the postseason. You can't change too much. Like, hey man, like look, they got to play better, and maybe they probably will, right? Those people we're talking about. So hey man, we'll see. Disappointing result. They certainly, you want to win the whole thing. You want to at least make the final. They did beat South Carolina in the first round. That was that Saturday morning, and then played all 18 again that afternoon, and Ole Miss got them. Ole Miss ended up beating Florida, who is, that's a spooky team. Ole Miss beat them 4-1, which is pretty impressive. All right, let me go because I spent enough time yelling in your ear today. Today is the release of the men's and women's tennis, which Auburn still has. Wow, what a win. Auburn men's and women's tennis NCAA tournament brackets. The selection show is today. It's this afternoon. I think I read 4. That might be Eastern. That might be Central. I'm not sure, but there will be a bracket. I'll let you know. Auburn women are a deadlock to host, certainly in the first round. And then the men, though, should make the tournament and should make the field. So we'll look at that. We'll take a look, and I'll let you know. Anyway, let me get out of here. The calendar is bare for the next few days. Hopefully, we will talk to the new gymnastics coach in a couple within the next few days, and we'll have a little bit more about on him and what he's got to say. I wonder about his staff, how much that might come together after this weekend. Starting Monday, we will see. So, let me go, and we will be back tomorrow with more.